Okay, so this is so stupid. The new thing now is that Taylor is so fat phobic because of her music video. Taylor Swift has been fat phobic her entire life. She is known to fat shame Selena Gomez back in 2014. She has been fat phobic for fucking ever. Her biggest fear is to gain weight, which she did in 2016, which is kind of ironic. But regardless, she lost it back again. But it's like, if you're that obsessed with fat acceptance, you would not be her fan. Like, you're an idiot. I'm just gonna be honest. Hello everybody, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. But what I wanted to talk to you today about was Taylor Swift. The entire scandal, what I thought about it, and what I did about it, and the response I got from Swifties. So essentially, she put out this video when her album came out called Anti-Hero. And in this video, she gets on the scale and the word fat appears on the scale. And then she steps off. And this other Taylor, which is like her alter ego, is really like judging her, and she nods when she sees the fatness on the scale. And then she looks in the mirror, and then evil Taylor is like this. As good Taylor's like... And that's basically the scene. Now that scene caused a complete firestorm all over TikTok, Twitter, everything. A bunch of fat acceptance people flipped out over the fact that she did this. I could understand why people were upset, but at the same time, I couldn't understand why people were surprised. The thing that bothers me about this situation is really that people do not want to allow people to feel anything about this video that is not positive. And to me, that's odd. To be fair, when I saw the scene, I did see it as fat shaming or anti-fat, whatever you want to call it, but it made me laugh because it was kind of funny. To me, I can think that certain things are funny. It's like a fat joke, or, you know, like in the past, people would find racist jokes to be funny. For me, it was on that level where I felt like it was like fat. Humor is offensive, right? It breaks convention in a way that is shocking a lot of the time, and that's what makes something humorous. That's why people say jokes that are, you know, off kilter or whatever, at least they used to, back when humor was allowed. So when I saw this, it was obviously something you would never expect. It was like a joke. It was like an irreverent fat joke to me, and I laughed like hell. I sent it to my best friend, and I said, this is me and you, because my friend is on my ass about me losing weight all the time. I am constantly fat shamed in a playful way, but me and my friend, we talk to each other really in a way that most SJWs would scream if they heard us talk to each other. We do a lot of shit talk. I'm very into shit talk. I love it. So I shame him for being a whore. He shames me for being fat. That's what we do. It's one day after the other. So I clipped this shit. I sent it to him over and over again. I said, this is you. I said, I'm going to be the one in the bathroom. I'm evil Taylor in this. I'm going to judge you. You're looking fat today, right? Just the whole shebang, okay? But obviously, I wouldn't be able to do that if there wasn't something to it. So, was Taylor fat shaming? Yes. Was the scene fat phobic? Yes. Is Taylor Swift herself fat phobic? Yes. When she was doing like her model friends and all this crap, they were all models. You know, she wants everybody in her life to be to a certain standard. I do think that she may have chilled out on it a bit. But at the very least, if you're an honest person and you are a Swiftie, or you were a Swiftie, like I'm more of a ex-Swiftie, because I used to follow her deeply and a lot, but she kind of lost me along the way, especially when she got very political. It just grossed me out. And then her albums, the quality went down after 1989. But that's another discussion for another day. But the point is, with the exception of Folklore and Evermore. But anyways, those were great albums. But I remember when I was on the train back in 2014 and 2015, I was like heavily on the train and I saw it. It's obvious. And like I said, maybe she changed, whatever, but you can't deny it. And the thing that Swifties say is they say, oh, well, she has an eating disorder. Gen Z, for some reason, they idolize mental illness. Mental illness to Gen Z people is like a religion. You're not allowed to say anything about it at all to anybody that has it because you may offend them. It may be hurtful. It may be whatever. But notice it's perfectly okay for Taylor to do something hurtful to certain people like fat people. So it doesn't apply. Anybody, you could say a vast majority of people that are morbidly obese have binge eating disorder. Many, many, many people have binge eating disorder. I have struggled with binge eating disorder. But my feelings don't matter anymore because of my eating disorder have passed or my eating disorder recovery. Only Taylor Swift's does because she's thin. Why is it so personal to you? Why do you feel so called out by somebody saying she is fatphobic when it's very obvious as a fat person, it's extremely obvious that Taylor Swift is fatphobic? Why is that an issue for you? And why is your response to me saying something basically fatphobia to a T? So we're going to go through some of these responses of Swifties and we can see just how well they proved that Taylor Swift is not fatphobic. So somebody says, I guess I was fatphobic too for having an eating disorder in the past. I mean, I guess if you look at the actual definition of fatphobia, phobia is an irrational fear. So the literal translation of fatphobia would be a fear of fat. So whether that would be a fear of fat people, like fatness in other people, or a fear of fatness in yourself, it would actually apply. Please, you just don't get the real meaning of the video. You were looking for acceptance but asking people to hate on somebody. The real shame is on you. Nothing positive about your attitude. Before you try and do lessons on someone else's behavior, behave yourself. And no, you don't call people idiot. You aren't allowed to do so. Real Karen energy in this. This is very indicative of Taylor Swift's condescending attitude that I guess she passed on to her fans of the this is why we can't have nice things energy, which by the way, I always hated that song because it enforces bitterness and not forgiving. She literally laughs at the idea of forgiveness, which is ridiculous to me. In reality, I was talking to fat acceptance TikTokers and people like that. I wasn't even talking to Swifties who I assumed do not give a fuck about fat phobia, which many of them said so. So the point is, I was calling fat TikTokers an idiot. I wasn't calling you one, but I guess you are one because you don't understand English. And you just hear everything in terms of, my Taylor Swift. She's perfect, even though she wrote a song called Anti-Hero where she literally says she's not perfect, that she is the problem, that she has flaws. Y'all don't hear it. You don't want to hear it. You don't see her as she is. You see her for what you want her to be. I don't. I just see her as a person. She's just a person. She's a bitch in some ways. She's nice in others. Wow. People are real. People are dynamic. People have good and bad traits. Whoa. It just so happens Taylor's flaw is fat phobia, which you could see because she put this video out without even a thought. She didn't even think about it. And obviously if she had thought about it, she wouldn't have put it in there because she took it out. So there is a bias there. I don't care what anybody says. You want an apology? Fine. I'm sorry that you and other fat/bigger people were hurt, but at the end of the day, it is not the world's or others' responsibilities to cater to your triggers or sensibilities. And I say this as someone who is also fat. Grow up, get a hobby, touch some grass. Yes, but also people do not have to silence themselves. People do not have to hide the fact that they disagree with something or hide their reaction to something. They don't. It goes both ways. Freedom of speech for all. I have a right to my opinion, just like Taylor has a right to be fatphobic in her video. I have a right to say she's being fatphobic. I don't even personally care that much about it. Like I said, it was funny to me. I laughed about it. I wasn't crying myself to sleep at night because she put that video up. Like, I didn't really care. But whatever. I mean, it's just not that serious. Then somebody says, why don't you lose weight? Nobody cares about fat shaming. I already am losing weight. So I've lost over 20 pounds since July. I've tried to work on losing weight for many years. I've tried many, many different diet approaches, and I think I finally found the right one, which I will be talking about on this channel. But it is fat-phobic of you to assume that I'm not trying to lose weight just because I'm fat. That is literal fat phobia. But again, am I going to cry myself to sleep at night? No. Is fat phobia bad? Yeah. Is it super serious? No. That's what you don't get. It's ridiculous. Fat phobia is not a thing. That rhetoric helps no one. The reality that nobody seems to want to come to terms with is that fatness is unattractive, and you probably will be treated different. Some people can't help being fat, but most can. Fat phobia, laugh my fucking ass off, give us a break. I responded and I said, she literally has a fear of being fat, but sure, Taylor is perfect, even though she wrote a whole song about how she isn't. Fat phobia is a thing. If you are fat, then you know exactly what it is. You've dealt with it, you've grown up with it, you've seen it, it exists. You cannot deny it as a fat person. You know it does. Like I said though, just because it exists, it doesn't mean it's on the same level as racism, homophobia, sexism, any of those things. It is not on the same level as that. It is not as serious as that. It is something else. It'd be like making fun of somebody for having short hair. It can be mean, you know, maybe some women, they've been shamed for their short hairstyles or a lesbian haircut. I've seen it a lot. Like, it's more on that level. Like, is it kind of mean? I guess, but is it also kind of funny? Yes, it is. It's kind of funny at the same time. Gosh, it ain't that deep. It's literally skin deep to a certain extent, other than like the health issues and those other issues that go along with it. Somebody said, I really want to thank people like you. Who said Taylor is fat phobic. Because of you guys, I've started my weight loss journey because I do not want to be associated with people like you. I'll show y'all that life is much better when you're skinny. Thanks a lot for this awakening. So all I can say is you're welcome. I'm already changing lives, you guys. Taylor wrote this song about her eating disorder experience. You can't control how she felt with an eating disorder. Typically, when someone had an eating disorder themselves, they don't hate fat people or fat acceptance. They're just scared of their own weight. I don't know. It's a tough sell for me. But okay. Which is something they can't control. It's mental illness. See, that's the thing too. Mental illness is usually treatable. You have to do something about it. It's something that you have to fight. So this rhetoric of it's something you can't control. She can't help that she hates fat people. She can't help that she's a bitch towards fat people. Okay, I guess if you hate something so much because you're so terrified of becoming it, is that not still hating that? If I was terrified of having a mole on my face, to where I thought about it every single day and I looked in the mirror and I was always checking to see that if I had a mole on my face. You don't necessarily hate somebody that has a mole on their face, but you do look at them and think, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not like them. I'm so much better than them. I'm in such a better position than they are. I'm much luckier than them. And I don't want to lose that. Is that fat phobic? Yes, it is. It's a bit much, which again, I get it. It's an eating disorder. It's a disorder. There's something wrong with you, which I understand that people have problems, but it would be weird to be around somebody that has such a fear of it every single day. And I feel like my body, just being around them, would trigger their eating disorder. That's weird. That is kind of hateful at the same time. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Do you want me to lie to you? Like, do you guys want me to lie about what I actually think? I don't think that that's what you want, but it really feels like it. So because I have a certain opinion, I have to shut up because I have to bow down to the altar of somebody else's mental illness. She didn't have to put this out there if she didn't want people commenting on it. She obviously wants the attention. She obviously did this for a reason. So why are you acting like she's a victim? And this is something that I do not like about Swifties or Taylor Swift herself. She's always a victim. And her fans always cater into her bullshit victimhood complex when she is one of the richest people on the planet. She is one of the most world-renowned, considered to be extremely talented, beautiful, etc. by a huge number of people. She is not a victim of society or whatever. Yes, society is a bitch to her, the media is mean or whatever, but society at large has granted her actual privilege to such an extent. Not to say she didn't work for it, but her efforts were definitely rewarded and appreciated. I don't think there's a way for them to be any more appreciated than they already were. So I can't consider her a victim, and it drives me nuts. She plays into it. She manipulates her audience into seeing her as a victim, which is narcissistic, which she points out in her song. She is even becoming self-aware to the point where she is pointing out some of her narcissistic traits, which it's like, damn, you guys are not that smart. I swear, it drives me nuts. Somebody said, what's bad about caring about your health? Taylor Swift did not worry about being quote-unquote fat for her health. There's a big difference between being a bit chunky and being morbidly obese. Somebody who's chunky is not going to have severe health issues. It's more about aesthetics, which is fine. You can absolutely want a certain aesthetic. That's okay as long as it's healthy. You don't want to go too skinny or go too far the other way. I don't agree with bodybuilding competitions where people are getting their body fat down to ridiculous percentages and all the harm they do to their body to do so. I think that that is toxic as well. But, if you're in a healthy range, then I don't care if you want to lose 5 pounds. I don't care if you want to lose 10 pounds. It's not my business. You speak as if you know her personality. You are so quick to judge someone on a mistake they did years ago and think that's their whole personality because you refuse to see them any other way. I don't know her entire personality, but I've followed her for many, 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 many years. I followed her for 10 years. I think you can kind of make a decent assessment. It's not ironclad. But at a certain point, you can get a general impression of somebody. Fat people are in denial if they think they are healthy, but people with the correct weight couldn't care less what fat people think. The annoying thing for normal people when they look at fat people is the fact that the appearance of an overweight person is aesthetically objectionable. Worse still are those who attempt to mitigate their appearance by getting tattoos, dyeing their hair some ridiculous color, getting a nose ring, and waddling about in sports attire while gazing aimlessly into their mobile phone while holding McDonald's milkshake in the other hand. If we are honest, people don't care what other people do, but they don't like looking at it. That's where 99% of the hate originates. Well, apart from sitting in an aircraft where your fellow passenger is spilling into a good proportion of the seat that you have paid for. Weight is not a social responsibility, it's each individual's responsibility. You reap what you sow. I can kind of understand what they're saying, but I also think it's kind of nasty to say you're hated because of how you look. It's like, okay, it's kind of nasty, but I can understand what they're saying from their point of view. They're trying to say it is something in your control, so if you choose to do that, then that's what you get. So I can kind of see it from that angle, but at the same time, it's a bit much. That's all I'm saying. That's my opinion on fat phobia in general, is it can be a bit much. It's not anything more than that or less than that. It's a bit much. That's kind of nasty. Fat people still have a right to live their lives or to go out in public. How do you expect anybody to get better if they can't live? And it's these types of attitudes that keep fat people fat. And you say, oh, well, no, I want you to not be. No, you don't. You don't care about people. You care about what you have to see. Nobody has to cater their entire life to your line of vision. If you don't like something, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry that every single person in the world is not somebody that you find sexually attractive. Fat people are bad for the environment, and if you care about people not dying from addiction, you should be shaming fat people. Although I doubt Taylor Swift has thought all that through. That's kind of funny. But as I said, I don't think that it works ultimately to fat shame people. If it did, then people would be thin. Because if you shame somebody, it tends to stress them out further, and then they will just eat more, or they'll just go hide in a hole, and it'd be even more discouraged to live their lives and all this stuff. And I do want to make more videos about how fat people should respond to this kind of thing, because you're never going to break out of your addiction if you don't live your life. So even though people say things like this and think this way, you're still going to have to get out and do something, even if you have to face people being mean to you. You have to just have that Janice Ian attitude in Mean Girls and just be like, your mom's chest hair. And then they'll be like, oh, you're so mean. Oh my gosh, how dare you say something back? You're such a mean person. Oh my God, you're so mean because you're fat and you had an emotion. You're so mean. But it's totally okay for a thin person to have an emotion. That's fatphobia. That's enough of that. Like I said, Taylor Swift fans are fatphobic AF. That's why they like her, because she's thin. If Taylor Swift was fat, they would not be her fan, period. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to talk to you guys later. Have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully it was everything you ever dreamed of. I will talk to you guys another day. Bye.